The late August sun poured through the tall, floor-to-ceiling windows of the Harborview Resort's presidential bridal suite in long, warm golden shafts, catching floating motes of dust that danced like tiny stars in the air. Beyond the glass, the Pacific Ocean rolled calm and shimmering toward the horizon. Down in the Rose Garden, 3 floors below, a string quartet had been playing for nearly 40 minutes. The gentle, repeating melodies that Ethan Harper had personally approved 2 weeks earlier, back when today still felt like the right choice. Ethan stood behind Sophia Bennett, trying to keep his fingers from trembling. The gown was classic white satin charmeuse, floor-length with a clean A-line shape and a delicate zipper tracing the entire length of her spine. He'd helped zip it once before, 6 weeks ago at a fitting when the seamstress needed extra hands and he happened to be nearby. That had been simple, a quick task, just another item on the wedding coordinator's list. This time felt entirely different. He sensed it in the subtle shift of fabric beneath his touch, in the heavy quiet that filled the room. Sophia stood motionless. She gazed at her reflection in the full-length mirror opposite, not with admiration, but with the cautious scrutiny of someone staring at a door they weren't sure they wanted to walk through. The zipper slid up to the small of her back. Ethan paused. Tucked inside the inner pocket of his charcoal suit jacket were 4 folded sheets, printed email chains, a scanned county record, 3 photographs. He'd placed them there that morning before leaving at his apartment in downtown San Diego, telling himself he'd decide on the spot. Read the moment, maybe he was mistaken, maybe it wasn't his business, maybe she already knew. She didn't know. He was almost positive now. "Ethan," Sophia said it without turning. Her voice stayed even, the same measured tone she used on investor conference calls. He finished the zipper. The tiny clasp snapped shut at the base of her neck. 300 guests already sat in the white chairs in the garden below, fanning themselves with the elegant programs Ethan had laid out and printed himself. The ceremony was set to start in 17 minutes. Marcus Reed, her fiancé, the man she was about to marry, was supposedly waiting in the groom's lounge at the far end of the resort. "Supposedly, Sophia," Ethan said softly, "there's something you need to know." It began 4 days earlier with a shared calendar invite. Ethan sat at his desk on the 19th floor of Horizon Tech's sleek headquarters in San Diego's Gaslamp Quarter, ticking off final wedding details that had dominated his schedule for weeks. Suite upgrades, vegan menu confirmations, the florist's arrival window, airport transfers for Sophia's parents flying in from Seattle. Marcus had asked him the week before to add the honeymoon villa reservation to the shared travel folder. A small, reasonable request. Ethan already had access. It was part of managing Sophia's executive life. He clicked the link. The calendar opened normally, color-coded blocks for upcoming meetings. Then, in the sidebar, a chain of unread, forwarded emails from a synced personal account. Ethan hadn't set up the sync. Marcus must have done it himself, carelessly, or assuming no one would notice. He shouldn't have looked, but the preview line caught his eye. "Claire Reed, re-soccer registration, new address confirmed." Ethan had assumed Claire Reed was Marcus's younger sister. That's what Marcus said at the engagement dinner 9 months earlier. "My sister Claire couldn't fly out. She's in Denver with the kids." Ethan had noted it and moved on, the way you do with casual details about your boss's fiancé. He opened the thread. It took 3 minutes to realize what he was seeing, another 3 to wish he hadn't. The messages were intimate, routine, years of shared life compressed into casual lines. Pickup schedules for soccer practice, a running disagreement about recycling bins, questions about renewing the lease on a storage unit in Aurora. Claire didn't write like a sister. She wrote like a wife coordinating a household with a husband who was gone too often and explained it too vaguely. Ethan closed the tab, sat still, palms flat on the desk, staring at the glittering bay through the glass wall. Then he opened it again. That night, after his 7-year-old daughter Mia was asleep, he sat at the kitchen table in his modest La Jolla condo and methodically searched public records. He wasn't a detective, just organized, persistent, the traits that made him excellent at his job. The internet, he discovered, revealed far more about careless people than most realized. Marriage certificate, Marcus Reed and Claire Harper Reed, filed in Denver County, Colorado 8 years ago last April. No divorce decree in Denver, Arapahoe, or San Diego counties. He double-checked California's public portal. Nothing. He found a community newsletter photo from a suburban block party in Aurora, 13 months old. Marcus stood in the background in a polo, paper plate in hand, next to a dark-haired woman and two children, a boy about 7, a girl maybe 5. Caption: The Reed family enjoys the annual summer barbecue. Ethan printed it all, folded the pages tightly, slipped them into the jacket he'd wear on Saturday. Sleep came in fragments that night and the next. There's something you need to know. Sophia turned slowly, fully dressed now, gown, heels, the delicate sapphire studs that had been her mother's. Hair swept into an elegant low chignon. In the harshest clinical light, she looked flawless, the kind of image people frame and hang above mantels. "You've been off since you walked in at 7:30, she said, not accusing, just noting, the way she'd flag a variance in a revenue forecast. "You said good morning, then went silent for 25 minutes. "I know. What is it?" He reached into the pocket. The folded pages emerged crisp and exact. He extended them. She studied his hand a moment before accepting. Unfolded slowly, read without hurry. Ethan braced for what? A flash of anger, frozen shock, the tight calm before a storm he'd witnessed twice in 5 years working together. Instead, she read every line to the end of page 4, refolded along the original creases, and placed the packet beside her half-finished bottle of sparkling water and a tube of nude lipstick. In the mirror, she met his eyes. "He's not here," Ethan said. The words came out plain and final. He'd spent 4 days becoming certain. He was supposed to be in the groom's suite by 9. It's 9:52 now. I checked with concierge 10 minutes ago. The room's untouched since turndown last night. Sophia stayed quiet. Outside, the quartet eased into something slower, more mournful. The 10:30 ceremony was 12 minutes away. "Sophia," he said gently, "did you already know?" She didn't answer immediately. Lifted the water, took one measured sip, set it down. "Sit," she said. She settled on the small velvet love seat by the window, still in the gown. He took the armchair opposite, the one that had held her robe earlier. "3 weeks ago," she began, "I flew back from Seattle a day early. Red-Eye got in at midnight. Marcus didn't know. He said the condo would be empty. He was supposedly at a client dinner in La Jolla staying over. I walked in. He was on the living room sofa at 12:40 a.m. on a Thursday, on the phone. He ended the call in 2 seconds flat. Said it was a partner in Tokyo, time zone. You didn't buy it. I hadn't bought a lot of things for months. I just hadn't found proof strong enough to override the doubt. You rationalize. He's charming, reliable in public, remembers anniversaries. You tell yourself maybe you're projecting fear onto a good thing." She paused. "Next morning, I hired a firm, Elena Vasquez, Private Investigations, based in Del Mar. Full background on Marcus James Reed, born 1986, last known address, Denver. Needed it before Saturday." Ethan nodded slowly. "She found the marriage. The children, a Shell LLC registered in Nevada, Reed Capital Partners, carrying $420,000 in outstanding judgments. 3 civil filings. And the prenup his attorney sent last month had a buried clause in Schedule B, Section 9. In the event of dissolution within 12 years, he'd receive preferred equity equivalent to 8% of Horizon's Class A founding shares." Her voice never wavered. "He wasn't marrying me," Ethan said quietly. "He was positioning for a takeover." "Yes." She touched the folded pages. "This is solid work, by the way. You pulled the Denver record yourself. Public database, anyone could. You've been carrying it for 4 days." He didn't deny it. Why wait until today? The question he dreaded. He'd rehearsed answers, professional, careful versions that kept distance intact. "I needed absolute certainty," he said. "True, but partial." She accepted it for now. "I kept the engagement alive, so he'd think everything was on track. Elena needed more time to trace the Nevada filings. My attorney quietly rewrote the prenup. Clean version. Clause excised, full trust protections added. His counsel would need days to review. So the ceremony became the lever. If he showed and pushed the original, I'd hand him the new one. If he showed and refused to sign anything, I'd know his real plan. If he ghosted entirely," she trailed off, "then you'd know everything." Marcus arrived at 10:19. Ethan heard the knock, 2 sharp raps, no hello, and stood before Sophia stirred. The door opened. Marcus stepped in, radiating the forced ease of someone who'd decided in the last hour to bluff his way through. He looked polished, Strong jaw, perfectly cut hair, morning suit tailored to precision. He swept the room, registered Ethan with clear annoyance, then focused on Sophia. "You're behind schedule," he said. "I'm exactly where I intended to be," she replied. Two others had entered silently through the connecting door from the adjacent suite, left unlocked on purpose. A woman in a navy blazer held a slim leather folder. Lauren Ortiz, Horizon's chief legal officer. Beside her stood a lean man in a charcoal jacket, Javier Ruiz, Elena's lead field operative, who'd shadowed Marcus for 12 days. Marcus absorbed the scene. His face stayed neutral, but calculation flickered behind the eyes. "What is this?" he asked. "A conversation," Sophia said. "Sit." He remained standing. "If there's an issue with the prenup, your attorney has Section 9. Lauren opened the folder, withdrew a document. "The preferred equity clause on dissolution has been removed. This is the amended agreement. Your counsel is welcome to review." Marcus glanced at the pages, then at Sophia. "You rewrote it without telling me." "I revised it. The original draft was unacceptable to my attorney." "That's not procedure. We had an agreement." "The draft," she corrected, "was unacceptable. Some of the Polish had left his posture." "I'm not signing anything new without my lawyer present." "Your lawyer received the revised version at 7:45 this morning," Lauren said. "He acknowledged at 8:03. A beat. Marcus's expression smoothed into something colder. "Claire Reed," Sophia said, "Denver County, Colorado, April, 8 years ago." The name landed like a weight in water. Marcus went still. "You want me to go?" he asked quietly. "I want honesty, maybe for the first time." "Sophia, don't." Tired, not icy. "Don't tell me it's complicated or the marriage was dead except on paper. Or what we had was real. I don't need the script. I need you to take the overnight bag, waiting in your suite closet, and leave the property." He turned toward the door, paused at the threshold without looking back. "You'll end up alone," he said. "You know that. You construct everything so perfectly, then stand back and wonder why no one fits inside the frame." Ethan stepped forward, voice level. "Resort security is waiting in the lobby. They'll escort you to your car." Marcus left. The latch clicked softly. Lauren and Javier shared a brief look, then slipped out through the connecting door with practiced discretion. Silence returned to the suite. Sophia stood in the center, still in white satin, still straight-backed, staring at the far wall where a gilded mirror reflected her image. Elegant, composed, untouched. Below, the quartet looped the same prelude they'd played for nearly an hour. "Someone has to tell the guests," Ethan said. "Yes. Want me to handle the announcement?" "I'll do it." She didn't move. "Give me 2 minutes." He waited, studied the half-empty water bottle, the untouched lipstick, the bouquet of white garden roses and silver dollar eucalyptus wilting slightly on the windowsill from the heat. Exactly 2 minutes later, she lifted her phone. The call lasted 5 minutes. Low, controlled, final. When she returned, she placed the phone face down. "Guests are being informed. Lunch will proceed. 300 people shouldn't leave hungry. Lauren will handle any press queries." "Want me to go down and—" "Stay." He stayed. She sat again, reached back, tugged the zipper down 4 inches, enough to breathe deeply, then leaned forward, elbows on knees, palms covering her eyes for a long moment. Ethan sat opposite, said nothing. He'd learned over 5 years that steady silence could be the kindest offering. Eventually, she lowered her hands. "He wasn't entirely wrong," she said. "About some things," Ethan agreed carefully. "You do build perfectly and then keep distance." She glanced at the gown. "This too. I spent 60 hours on logistics, guest lists, linens, lighting, menu. Told myself it was about making it beautiful. Maybe partly, or maybe it kept me from admitting I was about to marry someone I didn't fully trust." The garden had gone quiet. The quartet packed up. Afternoon light shifted. "You carried those pages for 4 days," she said later. The bouquet had been moved to the bathroom sink. The dress remained on. She hadn't decided yet. "You said you needed certainty. Was that the whole reason?" He could have offered the polished line, protecting the company, avoiding scandal, confirming no innocent explanation. All true, none complete. "I was afraid," he said. She waited. "I have a daughter, Mia, 7 now. You met her at the company family day last spring, the beach picnic in July." "I remember Mia. Her mom left when she was 2. It wasn't clean. She's up in Portland now, visits every other holiday, mostly stable. But Mia feels things, notices absences before she has words for them." He paused. "Horizon's been the steady thing in my life besides her. Solid pay, reasonable hours, benefits. I knew what I risked bringing this to you. Worst case, you already knew and chose him anyway. And I was the assistant who'd pried into your private life and crashed your wedding with accusations. That scenario would have been difficult, she said. Yes, but you came anyway. I came anyway. He studied his hands. I kept telling myself to wait for more proof. But honestly, I could have waited forever if I'd let fear win. She held his gaze. Afternoon sun tilted gold across the silk. What was the other reason, she asked. The one beyond Mia and the job. He met her eyes. You know what it is? She didn't deny it. The suite door opened without knocking, because the person entering was 7 and hadn't yet mastered boundaries. Maya Harper stepped in wearing her pale lavender flower girl dress, slightly rumpled from the car ride, a faint purple marker streak on the skirt that Ethan decided to ignore for now. She stopped, taking in the scene. Roses, mirror, Sophia still in white, the barely touched charcuterie board someone had delivered. No wedding, she stated plainly. No, Ethan said. Mia considered Sophia. Are you sad? Sophia answered with care, the way she answered serious questions. A little. Mostly I'm okay. My dad says it's okay to change your mind, Mia offered. Even about big stuff. He says if something feels wrong, you can stop and choose something else instead. That's very good advice, Sophia said. He says it when I don't want to eat broccoli. Ethan opened his mouth. Not now, kiddo. But Sophia was already sliding the cheese board toward her. Mia dropped cross-legged on the carpet, her preferred eating position, and chose a grape with grave concentration. Chewed thoughtfully. Your dress is really pretty, she said. Thank you. It feels like it belongs somewhere special. Sophia glanced down at the satin, then at Ethan. A brief look he understood perfectly after 5 years of reading her silences. Maybe it still will, she said. Mia nodded, satisfied, and returned to the grapes. Ethan exhaled, feeling the knot in his chest loosen by degrees. 2 weeks later, they met at a quiet cafe 6 blocks from Horizon. Small brick walls, rotating chalkboard menu, never crowded with coworkers. Ethan suggested it. Sophia agreed. They arrived within 30 seconds of each other. He ordered black coffee. She ordered black coffee too, a departure she didn't explain and he didn't question. HR will need to be looped in, she said once the cups arrived. It's not disciplinary, purely procedural. Company policy on relationships at executive level and above. Your role is executive support, but the access level matches. I understand. I'd like to shift your reporting line. Senior Operations Coordinator position is opening. More autonomy, less direct daily interface with my office, slight title bump, salary adjustment. You'd excel. Ethan cradled the warm mug. That works. Good. She looked across the small table. Outside, a delivery van idled while its driver unloaded crates with practiced calm. I want to be clear about where I stand, she said. I'm 48 hours past 2 years of planning. Relationship, wedding, future, with someone who wasn't who he claimed. I'm not shattered. That's revealing. If I'd been deeply in love, I'd feel worse. But I'm not at full strength, and I won't decide anything important from this place. Fair. What I do know, I've trusted you with things I trust no one else with. Not because it's your job, but because you've earned it over 5 years. What you did, carrying that weight 4 days, risking everything to tell me, I see the cost. I'd do it again. I know. They sat in the hum of Monday morning, laptops, murmured calls, the hiss of the espresso machine. I don't know what this becomes, she said. I'm not used to open-ended. No, but once you decide to build, you build well. She gave a small, genuine smile, one he'd seen perhaps 15 times in 5 years. True, security concerns had been genuine. Marcus hadn't faded quietly. Uvam, his attorney sent letters, Lauren countered. Elena's team flagged suspicious internal contacts, possibly low-level IT. Nothing proven, but enough to justify caution. Ethan's old apartment was fine, but for a few weeks it made sense for Mia to stay somewhere with stronger access controls. Sophia's La Jolla penthouse, 35th floor, ocean-facing rooftop pool, had plenty of room. Mia's first reaction, whoa! She cataloged the space methodically. Pool approved, guest room bigger than mine. Kitchen, can we make tacos? They did. Grocery run for avocados, cilantro, fresh tortillas. Mia carried the limes like treasure. Sophia admitted she'd barely used the stove. Ethan guided while Mia stood on a stool, mashing avocados with intense focus. The tacos were messy, delicious. Mia declared the night awesome. Later, after Mia slept in the guest room under a blanket she'd chosen herself, Ethan and Sophia sat on the terrace with the last of a bottle of Pinot Noir, city lights glittering below, the dark Pacific stretching endless. She asked me while you were reading her a story if I'd be her friend, Sophia said. What did you tell her? I said I'd like that very much. Good answer. She glanced sideways. She negotiates like you. He laughed, quiet, real. I don't know what we're doing yet, she said. Less guarded now, more open curiosity. I'd like to find out, he said, at whatever pace feels right. A pace, she echoed. That's different from stopping. He understood. It mattered. Below, the city moved on. Sirens, bridges, late-night commerce. Unaware of two people on a high terrace choosing quietly to continue. The night stayed warm. The wine ran low. Inside, Mia dreamed the easy dreams of a child who'd eaten tacos, liked the new place, and saw no reason to worry. Ethan set his glass on the railing. We should head in soon. Probably. Neither moved right away. The ocean remained calm. The lights kept shining. It wasn't a dramatic ending. It was the gentle space just before a beginning. Nothing fixed, everything possible. And the honest choice simply to stay present a little longer in the soft California night. Life lesson. True value in life isn't found in perfectly executed plans or flawless appearances. It's in the courage to listen to quiet instincts, the integrity to act when it matters most, even at personal cost, and the willingness to release what no longer aligns, making space for something real and unscripted. Sometimes the strongest foundations are built not from control, but from trust, honesty, and small, deliberate steps forward together. If this story resonated with you about second chances, seeing clearly, and choosing heart over habit, please consider subscribing to the channel for more thoughtful tales like this. Hit the like button, drop a comment with your own takeaway, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next one. Your support keeps these stories coming. Thank you for being here.